Colossians chapter 3. Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is on you and to curry their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving.
Good whenever. Today's message is the fourth in the series from Mark Batterson's book, Win the Day. And if you've driven by the church, you've probably seen the sign that advises you to fly the kite. So I'm going to start off with a question. When you think of historical, important, significant kite flying, what comes to mind? I'll wait. Some of you, most of you probably think of Ben Franklin and his famous kite flying and electricity experiment. However, after reading this chapter from Mark Batterson, I have discovered that the most important kite flying ever was done, I'm going to read from his book, so excuse me for looking down to read. In January 1848, they wanted to build a bridge across the Niagara River at Niagara Falls to connect Canada and the United States. How to start, how to bridge the gap, so to speak. So the engineers came up with this really clever idea. I'm going to read now from the book. In January 1848, hundreds of kids tried flying kites across the gorge. If you know anything about weather conditions in that part of the country at that time of year, that's pretty impressive. A 15-year-old American named Homan Walsh took the ferry from the American side to the Canadian side to take advantage of the prevailing winds. He flew his kite all day, all night. When his kite string broke, he had to wait 8 days to cross back over by ferry. He retrieved the kite, made repairs, and crossed over again. On January 30th, 1848, Walsh's kite made it across the gorge, winning him the $10 cash prize that was awarded to whichever child could do that. The day following that successful flight, a stronger line was attached to the kite string and pulled across. Then an even stronger line, then a rope, then a cable, consisting of 36 strands of 10-gauge wire. Here's what was written in the Buffalo Daily Courier on January 31st, 1848. We have this day joined Canada with the United States by a cord half an inch in diameter and are making preparations to extend a footbridge across by the 1st of June. Our shanties are erected and we have a large number of men at work. Everything looks like going ahead. Men are very busy in laying out the town of Bellevue and are making arrangements for putting up a large hotel. The situation is a beautiful one and bids fair in the opinion of many to surpass the town at the falls. This child, Homan Walsh, connected Canada with the United States by a kite string. Small, insignificant, not very strong string, but something small had to be the first thing done, had to be the first thing to cross over that gorge. And then, as you heard me say, they pulled a stronger rope and finally a cable, and then they built a footbridge, and then they built a bridge. All because Homan Walsh was able to fly a kite. So our lesson for today is just that very thing. We have to start with the small things. We have to do those small things in order to accomplish the big things. The text today is Colossians 3:22 through 24. The habit, as I said before, is fly the kite. And here's the big idea of the message, according to the author, Mark Batterson. Being faithful in the little things, as though they are big things, will influence God to do big things in your life as though they are little things. And how you do anything at all, no matter how large or small, is how you'll do everything. So, in Colossians, Paul teaches us a very important principle when he tells us that everything we do, big or small, we should do as though we are doing it for God. From the smallest task to the largest responsibility, we must remember that the work we do is not for the approval of anyone here on earth, but it is for the recognition of our obedience by God. Winning the day is not something that is only done by accomplishing big goals or serving with fanfare in big ways. Winning the day is accomplished by being faithful in the smaller things at first, meeting the needs of today instead of sitting around waiting for the needs of tomorrow. We have a tendency to want to wait to give financially when we have more money, or wait to serve when we have more time. Yet we neglect to realize that there are still needs that can be met with the little bit of money we do have and the little bit of time that we can spare. Being faithful to present needs opens the door to bigger and better things down the road, when we will be given the chance to be faithful in much bigger things. But it all starts with the small sacrifices, the small dedication, and the small responsibilities. So Mark Batterson states that it's very important to define what success is. What does it look like to you? Here's what he says. Success is doing the best you can with what you have where you are. Whether it's financial success, relationship success, spiritual success, intellectual success, it's really important to remember that what you're aiming for, you need to use what you currently have. Small goals are easier to accomplish than large ones. Well, that makes sense, but we do not often get as excited about those small goals as we do the big things. We sometimes fail to realize that what we have and where we are can benefit greatly from these small goals. Mark Batterson tells another story about the legendary Kobe Bryant and his practice routine. There was a fellow who wanted to work out with him as he was leading one of his famous camps, and Kobe told him to get there early in the morning and they could run through the drills before the campers. When this fellow got there, Kobe was already in full sweat because he'd been working out for an hour already. And the person asked him, why did you get up so early to do the same thing over and over again? And he said, the small things don't bore me. I know where the small things can lead. Every single day of your life has purpose. There's not a single day that goes by that you cannot make a difference in one way or another. We probably see many things as ordinary, but there are so many profound events happening behind even the most overlooked occurrences. Here are some statistics. Your heart will beat more than 100,000 times today, circulating 5 quarts of blood through 100,000 miles of arteries and veins and capillaries. If one of those heartbeats was missing, what happens? There are no ordinary people. There are no ordinary things. There are no ordinary days. From our bodies to the days we experience, nothing is ordinary. We see this concept illustrated through the act of creation in the beginning of time. Every single day, God did something small in the big scheme of things. One day it was flowers and grass. One day it was day and night. One day it was animals. Each day served its own purpose, and each day had its own set of victories that came along with it. Though each day was not the creation of the entire world, it was small goals that added up to the big picture in the end. Much the same way what we do daily, hourly, our small goals, they can lead to the big picture of who we become and what we can accomplish over time. Every single day matters. And how we approach that day matters. Our motivation matters when it comes to doing the little things. So how are you motivated? Are you motivated by outward recognition and applause? Or maybe you're motivated by the mere idea of helping where you can, because that is what is important at the end of the day. In this age of social media, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, it's really hard to gauge what someone's motivation is. People share bits of their lives for likes and tweets and retweets, and they live for the comment section, and they'll try to do grand things in order to get a bigger response. I've done this. Many of us have done this. Apparently there's a thing called push notifications. Anyway, when somebody reacts to something you've posted, it sends a dopamine release coursing through your veins, almost like an addiction. And when we do those things for outward recognition like that, we're only doing them for the likes, for the push notifications. When we perform for an audience of one, we're putting our heart in the right place. The Apostle Paul says this in Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. How you do anything is how you'll do everything. And while we're on that subject, practice makes perfect. That, in a nutshell, is how you win the day. When you make it a daily habit to do the fundamentals, the basics, the little things with so much faithfulness that you're able to execute without even to think about it. Remember Admiral McRaven and his advice to make your bed? It's pouring yourself out for the smallest of responsibilities with heart, with determination, with dedication. And it is doing it all with all of your heart, day after day, week after week, month after month. That's how you become what you truly want to be. This is how you become who God has called you to be. We're always thinking about that big picture goal in the long run, but we need to start with the small stuff. Homan Walsh didn't build a bridge. He flew a kite, which enabled the bigger picture of the bigger bridge. And this doesn't just build up your character, it also gives you a little bit of insight. When we set those small goals, those small targets and small prize, they're easier to attain. That's obvious, but it goes a little deeper. I've mentioned this before when I was talking with my therapist about how I get up a mountain. And he reminded me that you climb a mountain one step at a time, and you move a mountain one rock at a time. Small goals for small achievements. Over time, you'll notice the big picture coming together because you were faithful in the small things. Prospect Harbor Church, lovely people, faithful stewards and faithful members. You've been through a lot. I've thrown a lot at you. I appreciate the support and the affirmation that you've sent my way as I struggle with where to go next. You know, I wish you all the best. I've always wanted that. Let's join together in remembering that those small things, those little things we can do, smiling, even with a mask on, smiling. You can see it in somebody's eyes if they're smiling with a mask on, can't you? Letting somebody get ahead of you in the line, paying for somebody behind you in line, dropping off a flower at someone's door, dropping off a complete meal at someone's door, thinking good thoughts, filling your mind with those words of wisdom that you get in Scripture, those things in Philippians 4:8 that say, if it's good, contemplate on that, fill your mind with that. Those little things, those small things build us up to who we are and who we're meant to be. Jesus did the little things. Jesus ate, Jesus slept, Jesus wept. Jesus built his disciples. He started off with a ragtag bunch, and by the end, they started the church in the world. We can do the same. Do the little things. Do them for the love of God. I love all of you. You're wonderful people. But I have to tell you this. Go fly a kite. Amen.